I'd like to call this meeting to order of Struthers City Council dated Wednesday, March 26, 2025, 7:01 p.m. Clerk, you call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Valek?
Here.
Mr. Baez?
Here.
Mr. Beasley?
Here.
Mr. Burnside?
Here.
Mr. Carcel is absent. Mrs. Bowman?
Here.
Ms. Pinkley? Here. Ms. Hyde?
Here, you stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I need a motion to excuse Ron Carcelli from tonight's meeting.
Make a
Gals
motion.
makes a motion.
Second.
Megan seconds that.
Mr. Valek?
Yes.
Mr. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Beasley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Ms. Pinkley? Yes.
Okay. This time I need a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes.
Make a motion to second.
Second.
Mr. Valek?
Yes.
Mr. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Beasley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Ms. Pinkley? Yes.
Okay, communications, there's 4 pieces.
Yes. Number one, Struthers City Auditor's monthly statement of cash position, revenue reports for transfers in and out, and expense transaction ledger reports for the month of February 2025, submitted by Christina S. Bowles, Struthers City Auditor. Number two, email dated Friday, March 21st, 2025, from Jennifer Johnson, Aqua Ohio, Struthers Division Area Manager, regarding Aqua Ohio fire hydrant flushing program is underway. Number three, notice of the legislative authorities of Ohio Division of Liquor Control regarding transfer permit number 54054195329, Max Convenience Store LLC, DBA Circle K 53292 Oliver LLC at 311 Maplewood, Struthers, Ohio. And finally, number four, mayor's report dated Wednesday, March 26, 2025, submitted by Mayor Captain Chicken Miller.
Okay, council, you heard the reading of communication, need a motion to receive and file. Ricky makes a motion.
Make a motion.
Della seconds that.
Mr. Valek?
Yes.
Mr. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Beasley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Ms. Pinkley? Yes.
Okay. Mayor's report. Mayor Miller, you read your report in caucus. Is there anything else you need to add or
No, thank you.
questions, comments for our mayor? Report of standing committees.
We need a community development meeting. That would be at 6 o'clock on April 2nd. So we can talk to the tree board, Charles Sawtell.
Any other committees?
Finance and Legislation Committee meeting to be held April 2nd after the Community Development meeting.
Okay. At this time, is there anyone wishing to address council on legislation? And this would be for legislation only at this time. If not, we'll go on to legislation.
Yes. Number one, an ordinance for the appropriation for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Struthers, State of Ohio, covering the fiscal year of 2025, ending December 31st, 2025, and repealing ordinance number 24-085, and any ordinance inconsistent herewith, and declaring emergency.
Okay, council, you heard the reading of the legislation. Need a motion to suspend the rules of council, place the ordinance for passage.
Suspend the rules
Chelsea
of
makes a
council.
motion. Ricky seconds that.
Second.
Mr. Valek?
Yes.
Mr. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Beasley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Ms. Pinkley? Yes.
Questions or comments under suspension?
Pass as read.
Second.
Mr. Valek?
Yes.
Mr. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Beasley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Ms. Pinkley? Yes.
Okay. Unfinished business. New business. Report of our law director. John, do you have anything?
I do not, Mr. President.
Questions, comments for our law director? The auditor was in caucus. Safety director, Bob, do you have anything?
I will add one thing, the beams, if everybody traveled Center Street this week, beams for our Wetmore Bridge project has been delivered. They're moving along quite well, and I believe they're on schedule to be finished within the 150-day window.
Questions or comments for our safety director? Okay, at this time, we got our guest speaker, the Honorable James Malone, our sitting judge, wishes to address council on some idea he has. And, Your Honor, it's your turn.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you everyone for having me tonight. So, because I'm here and I don't get before council often, if I can, I'd like to maybe just give a short state of the court and give an update as to what's going on in the court from 2024. And then I'd like to then address my ideas. So my focus in 2024, my first year as judge, was to just get everything cleaned up, running smoothly, running the way that I thought would be most efficient for the court, for the residents that the court serves. And I think we've been successful in doing that. So in 2024, we had over 3,300 cases that came through Struthers Court that we handled, which is up about 1,000 cases from 2023. So we had a huge influx of cases that I think we really handled well. Some of the issues that were there when I came in, and quite candidly, the criminal docket was in really good shape. There weren't a ton of old cases that needed to be cleaned up, but the civil docket had a lot of old cases just kind of hanging around and not getting completed, not getting finished up. So we focused on continuing keeping the criminal cases moving. I changed the local civil rules, the process is how we were addressing civil cases, and I'm proud to say that we pretty much have all of our old civil cases, the whole backlog, cleaned up. We have a few that are kind of troubling cases that we're still working on, but for the most part, we have that civil case, the civil docket cleaned up, which is wonderful. The Supreme Court has guidelines for time periods which we have to complete cases, and I'm proud to report that occasionally we have one or two cases that go over those guidelines, but for the most part, we keep everything within our Supreme Court guidelines, so we're getting them done timely, and now we've set a new process with our civil cases that actually gets those cases done well within the time of the Supreme Court guidelines. So our docket is under control and in good shape. So we changed, when I came in, one of the things that I thought was maybe a problem and maybe inherently unfair to the city of Struthers and even to the residents was the fact that through prior administrations, the court costs were changed so that the bulk of the court costs were staying with the courts, going into our special projects funds and sitting there, mostly being unused. Don't know why that was happening, but it wasn't benefiting anybody to have that money just sitting there and accumulating.
We questioned it from time to time, but never really got an answer on what the money was actually going to be used for moving forward.
And quite honestly, when I came in, there wasn't any plan. It was just sitting there. I heard through rumor that maybe prior administrations wanted to get its own courtroom, maybe things like that, but it was just sitting there. So in early 2024, I changed the local rules so that the lion's share of the court costs coming in on civil cases, on criminal cases, was going to go back to the city, back to the general fund. And then early in 2025, this year, I made the same change to the civil cases. So now, when we bring in court costs, the lion's share is now going back to the city. I'm kind of watching to see the effect of that. My hope is that the deficit that the court runs in will shrink based upon that money going back. So we'll see what the effect is. And from talking to Ms. Bull, I think that there has been some positive effect to the fact that the costs are going back to the city. So I'm hoping that that is a change that will benefit everybody. Because it doesn't change how the courts run, but it certainly is a detriment to the city and to its residents if all that money is being hoarded in the courts and not going back to the city. So if anybody looks at the way our numbers are set up and you have any questions, please talk to me, because I'll be glad to tell you why we have what we do there and what our plans are. staffing issues with the court. So when I started last year, we were down one staff member already, and then one of our staff members, she resigned and retired. She was a little older. We brought in a younger gentleman who's going to be going off to law school pretty soon. So he's wonderful. I mean, if we could keep him forever, we'd be lucky. But he's going off to law school in the fall, so we're going to be losing him. And we're looking right now for an individual that can kind of be a utility player for us, somebody that could act as a court security / somebody that can do process serving, somebody that can also work in the clerk's office and help out in the clerk's office. So we're kind of looking for that individual that would probably take the spot of Tommy, who's in the office, who will be going off to law school. Then maybe the last thing I probably want to address is the image of the court. So from going around the state to different judicial conferences and things, unfortunately, our court has had a negative image in the last couple years. Some of the things that have come up in the media. At the last judicial conference I was at, one of those cases actually was one of the cases that was brought up in our, in the seminar that I was at. So those things come up, and it's just truly a black eye for the city. So I have been doing my very best to make sure that I present as well as I can at these different judicial conferences around the state when I'm dealing with, a room full of judges and people that know this court because of what's happened in the past. I've made changes where we make sure that court starts every day on time, that we keep things moving. Struthers Court was kind of known in the legal community as the black hole, where, if you had court scheduled at 9 o'clock in Struthers, it was the last place you went to because sometimes it wasn't starting until 11 o'clock. So I've done things where I make sure the court starts on time. Once I get on the bench, I don't get off until every case I have ready is done. I don't take breaks. John does a great job of keeping the criminal docket moving and getting the cases in there. Because I don't want people to come to this court and sit for hours and hours over a traffic ticket. People have to get to work. They have to get on with their lives. So if they're there and a case is ready, I get it in, I get it out. So those are some of the things that I'm doing, that the court has done through 2024, and I'm hoping to continue that. But we're starting the initial process of trying to get drug court up and running again. When I say running again, I don't know how much it was running before, but we have to start from the beginning. So we have a whole application process that we have to go through to get drug court up and running again. But we've started that process, and it takes a little bit of time, but that's our plan in 2025. So that's kind of the state of the court. Any questions about that?
If I could just comment, I know administratively between me and, I know I can speak for the safety service director and our auditor, and everybody in City Hall. It's been a breath of fresh air. You've been very open to conversation and listening and learning about the budget and where you can help, and you've done everything we cannot ask for more from you. So we very much appreciate you and all the changes that you're making for the court.
I appreciate hearing that, because one of the things I said as I was campaigning was, there's not an issue that you can't sit down and talk about. I mean, you can agree to disagree, but you can certainly have a conversation. And I promise that my door is always open for a conversation, and if I can do anything that's for the betterment of the city and its residents, then I'm certainly going to do that. The city does a lot to provide for this court. I mean, the cost of running this court isn't insignificant, for sure. So the fact that the city is able to provide for the court, I think is a blessing. I think it's great for its residents. So it's my job now to take that and use it as best I can.
Well, there should never be a power struggle between two branches of government, and that's basically what we have right. So, on all of us, if the mayor's that happy with it, I'm not down here every day. And you're obviously doing something.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
She's tough to please.
Anything else? Okay, so now here's the big ask. So We have conducted a few jury trials this year, and this room is not equipped to conduct jury trials. It's, that has to be a function that we're able to do, and it's just not equipped for that. We don't have a jury box, we don't have a witness stand, we don't have appropriate counsel tables. We just don't have those things to conduct a jury trial. It really looks like, when we conduct a jury trial, it looks like we're in here playing court, like we're in our basement, and we're putting a room together to try to look like a courtroom, but it's just not. I mean, literally, we have a little table we set up right here with a chair that we have our witnesses sit in. We roll in all these chairs along that wall, front and back, so that we have somewhere for a jury to sit. We're kind of rolling around during the trial. So when I talk to jurors, they say things like, well, we didn't know Struthers had jury trials. We didn't know that this court does that type of thing here. So when you walk into a courtroom, it's really important to have that decorum when you walk in, to feel like I'm in a place that important business is conducted. And, when we try to set up for that jury trial, it looks makeshift, and it looks like we're kind of playing around, that it's not the real business of the court. So, as I thought about this, I have a plan. What I'd like to do is renovate this room so that it is conducive to both the court and its jury trials, as well as, of course, counsel and the business that you have to conduct. So I wanted to get a feel today as to, between counsel and administration and the city administration, what your thoughts are. If I would take the lead on getting drawings and starting to prepare the process, it's my intention.
I would have one question before we even dug into it. Whose budget are we?
The courts.
Okay,
So,
perfect,
yeah.
great. Sounds
So
good.
I'm not asking for a dime from the city for either the drawings or the work that we would do. So my hope would be to renovate this room. So, and the other thing is,
Got me on board.
that's all right. I'll pay for it.
All right, perfect.
So what it looks like is that, there have been some renovations done to this room, but some of it, the paneling, I'm guessing, has probably been here since, years ago when I started practicing law.
Before you were probably born.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is to walk into a finished room. And if I can just give you some of my ideas of what I'm thinking, these of course are not hard and fast, just because I haven't heard from you yet, I haven't got any of your thoughts. But kind of what I'm thinking is this, is that right now, I don't think, for the court's perspective, I don't think we need every one of these rows of seats back here in the gallery. I think we could lose one row, and then bring the second row to the back. I think that still leaves enough room for handicap accessibility and room in the back, but it would create more room here so that this bar could be brought back, maybe this bar, to allow more room up here. If we did that, the idea would then be to build a jury box over here along this wall. So if we have, everything kind of moved back here,
I don't think you have to worry about counsel's crowd back there.
Yeah.
you want to stretch out a little bit. So if we create a jury box here, back row would be elevated one step. We would keep the bottom row flat with the floor so that it would be handicap accessible. And then the jurors usually come in from this side, so we have it open here, have a bar that closes in the back there. So the jury would walk in, have 2 rows. We would need 10 seats, which would be enough for 8 jurors, and plus up to 2 alternates. So we have 10 seats over here. There would be 2 rows of 5. Probably build a witness stand on this side of the bench, so they would sit up a bit elevated, and that way they'd have, the jury would be able to see them. And I don't think any of these things so far would interfere with counsel. Then the question becomes, how do we create counsel tables that are still now conducive to you conducting your business? And that's one of the things that we have to work out. But, and then, some renovations, of course, to the sound system. making sure that the mics work. When I'm in court here, people talk into the mic, and I still can't hear them. So, so we can work on the sound system. I know that we have wires and things that are running throughout. Those could be built into the walls so we can clean all those things up and just provide a finished room that works for everybody. So,
I talked to Dallas and the judge and we talked about, as you can see, that row is hardly used. That can be eliminated altogether. If we do got a guest that needs it, they can sit in the first row of the juror box. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we'd still have 10 seats there.
Right, so,
if
you
you
know,
have
that
guests
could
there.
be utilized for that. That road, I don't remember last time anybody on our half sits there. Number two, you and I also talked about, that would be the time to upgrade our camera system for this room, because it's something, we gotta have a different system, we gotta have can we share a system, whatever it may be. That, and you had mentioned, that would be the time for us, because we've been having problems with this system for a while. So that would be, I'd like to see it being considered to get a new camera system / sound system in here that either we both can use, or do we council put their own? Because this system just has so much trouble.
So I know that right now.
Keep it in mind, just keep it in mind.
Oh, for sure. So what I know right now is that, and the mayor and I have talked about this, and Bob, so right now we have 2 sets of lines coming into the building that are paid for separately, and, it's wasteful spending. So the idea now, of course, is that we want one line, it comes out of the general fund anyway, that would eventually,
Well, you're gonna be contributing to the general fund anyway, so that would be
right,
a
but,
shared
so,
product.
so anyway, so we have the shared lines, and those same lines are running to this courtroom, and then that way we can have the video system set up, and the cameras, and the audio, and all those things would be shared because we're using the same lines anyway. So it would be all, from the same pot. So, but those things would certainly, the idea hopefully would be that when we're done, that we have as close a state of the art as possible, that we can afford. But the video capabilities, the audio, the way that the room is set up, of course, would all be, would be compliant with all laws. And I think that it would work for all of us, and we would have a place to work that I think we can all be proud of.
So would the citizens be able to watch jury,
So,
like online?
That's certainly possible.
Because
you
they
know,
can
so
do
the
it with
court-
our sessions now.
Right.
I was just wondering, since we're gonna
Yeah.
be sharing things, I don't know if that would, if you. do you
It's
do that?
happened. You've
Yeah.
seen court TV
Sure,
where,
yeah.
where so that can certainly happen. I don't know if we'd have enough interest where anybody would watch it, but.
To be
Hey,
honest,
look at the crowd we have.
I've thought of it before. I've thought about it. It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
It is pretty.
We have our days.
see
Today
somebody's
we had
kid.
one of our days, so.
Sorry I missed it.
It happens for sure. But yeah, that's certainly a possibility if the equipment is there. And, there's issues that would come up where I'd address it with council, and, I'd have to make a decision
Sure.
on whether to permit that. It depends on the type of case and those type of things, but,
I don't know if any, like, privacy laws would come into effect there.
generally, this is a public
It's
room,
public.
and.
Run it on Facebook Live during the talking every
That's
day,
it, yeah,
Monday,
that's right.
Wednesday, Friday. Just let it run.
Yeah, might as well, right?
No comment.
Yeah. Good point.
So what kind of time frame are you looking at? Like, is this something you want done by the end of the year, or?
Yeah, so we have reached out to an architect firm, Oslowski downtown. They're the same firm that did the work at Youngstown Municipal Court. So they have some experience doing that, plus other public buildings that they've worked on. So, of course, I want to do everything, right now, immediately. So I would move as fast as the process would allow me to move. But I can't really give a timeline because, I know from stuff that I do outside of this court that getting architects to get things done and get it done quickly doesn't happen. So,
Yeah, you're just at the mercy of somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But the big question becomes, while we're under construction, how are we conducting our business? And so for that reason, when it starts, the setup has to be that it's gonna move as fast as possible because because we want, you know, we don't want to be disrupted any longer than we have to be. I haven't talked to Judge Kolmasik yet in Camel Court, but they have court only on Tuesdays and Fridays. And,
We're in recess July and August, if that makes a difference.
oh, that's correct.
So we have not,
Yeah.
those 2 months.
So my hope is to talk to Judge Kolmasik in Camel and see if, you know, for the time that we're under construction, that he would allow us to use his court. And I would kind of just take a skeleton crew with me. We would handle our business there, come back and get everything entered in our clerk's office. And I was kind of, you know, I wasn't sure what we could do with council, but if we can time it where there's a break, that'd be great.
Yeah, so if you got all your plans together and everything prepared, so we're in recent July and August, you would try to do it within,
So we've already reached out and we should have a meeting with the architects probably in the next week. So we'll give him an idea of what our plans are and then get him to start the drawings.
I think council sessions are more adaptable to go anywhere, more so than the court.
Yeah, because even, you know, with your caucusers, you may be
Sure,
able to.
or we can
you
even
know,
do
for a
it
short
online
time.
like we did through COVID,
Oh, yeah, good point.
so.
Yeah, so there's options out there to keep things moving. But yeah, so I guess my plan would be is get an initial drawing, bring it here to this body and let everybody review it, you know, give me their input, and we can discuss good, bad, what you like, what you don't like, and then make some changes, and then, you know, put it out for bid to get a good company to come in that can cement when they can come in and get the work done and how long it will take them, and then once we have those plans, get it going.
Sounds good.
Any questions? Any thoughts on things that you'd want to see?
I just have kind of one, and it's because in the past, at times, our seating was changed, if you guys remember. I like that I'm able to see the president and see the crowd. Not that there's anybody here today.
But when there is here, sure.
But yes, so when I'm able to address the crowd or I'm able to address the president. So having a visual of both was better than when we were solely facing the president, if you guys remember, when it was lined up this way.
So, and as I've kind of walked through this in my mind and trying to plan this out, that is probably the trickiest thing.
Yeah,
because I
it's
see that you guys now, you're able to see this way, see the president communicate with each other.
Yes.
And finding tables that you know, he's gonna work that exact same way and then work the council tables.
Also, a thought is we're only here one day. We're only in this room every 2 weeks, one day every 2 weeks. So if it was something that could be moved out of the way, it is only being moved back in one day every 2 weeks.
Right.
For us. So, I mean, that's kind of something.
The other thing that may end up happening is that once we move this back and we create more room up here, then we may be able to have council tables that are fixed, and then have temporary tables that could be moved in.
Okay.
You know, something, you know, that might be the answer, but, you know.
And again, it's not I don't even know if it matters to anybody else, but
I don't think we need such a structure like this to sit at.
I don't think we do either. But just in general, I find it easier to address the president and address the council, being able to see both.
This might even be able to go and be your border. Like something like
You know,
this
that's actually a good idea.
could be your border.
Right.
And then when we're here, we could just pull it out, so it wouldn't be your border, and at least we could sit at, and then even if the mayor and Bob had to sit like at a smaller table, but,
And remember, we always have the 10 chairs over there as well,
yeah,
You
okay,
know,
sure.
that
Yeah.
create a lot of.
Because all you would
seating.
need would be 2 of the, and like we said, like, it doesn't have to be this big.
I mean, let's
know.
think about this for a second too. We're on the court's budget. So we could probably get something that comes up out of the ground, right?
Just
Oh, there you
right up
go.
Tracks back in.
I'm looking on the ceiling.
Maybe you can set up so that when you start counting.
I don't know, there's a lot of dust up there.
For the floor, right, so you can make an
Double there,
entrance.
yeah, perfect.
So, but honestly, if you have any thoughts or suggestions or, you know, maybe a wish list of things that you wish you had in here when you're conducting your meetings, you know, this would be the time to try to work it in.
This room has looked like this for the last 18 years I've been here.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure it's been
Oh,
longer.
I remember coming here as a is.
Just say
And,
for like a field trip.
yeah, for anything, it's been like this as far back as I could, except for the floor.
Yeah,
The floor was changed during, our tenure.
yeah.
Yeah, this is probably the only thing.
The only thing
Rest-
the only thing I could say,
So another thing I was thinking about was the mural. Is that something that you would, could it be moved somewhere else, or do you want to work into this room?
We could, you and I talked,
You
what
take
about
that in the caucus.
the wall in the caucus room?
Okay,
I don't wanna see it just thrown,
I would
Oh,
say
of course
that's a
not.
perfect suggestion.
you know
to
where
be honest
the
with
map
you.
is that's been there for 50 years? Take that map down and put the mural on that wall in the caucus room.
Might as well upgrade our caucus room while we're at it.
because I'm talking to the architect, you know, they're gonna ask, are we working with the mural, or?
We like hand-me-downs, so if you got something good near you get rid of, we'll take it in our office.
Okay.
It used to be out in the hallway, out front foyer,
Yeah.
yeah. and
Oh, it was?
moved in here.
But if you can, if we, you know where the map is in the caucus, it's on the wall, take that down and put that there.
Yeah, that's big, I mean, it would fit.
No.
That's
Well,
the
we'd have
same.
to look.
That's big.
No.
You have to clear the whole wall.
Yeah,
It would take the whole wall.
It would take the whole wall, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and move ahead with meeting with the architect, giving the architect our vision of what we want, hire them to do the drawings, and then I'll come back to you with what I have, and then I'll love to hear your comments.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, everyone, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions for the judge before he departs? Okay, at this time, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council? You're welcome to do so. Coming up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Okay, next Wednesday, 6 o'clock, community development, and follow that is finance and legislation. Anything else for us? Motion adjourned tonight's council meeting. And Lori seconds that.
Mr. Ballack? Yes. Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley? Yes. Mr. Burnside? Mrs. Goman? Ms. Pingley?
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.